never concentrate on expenses while you are going for US. That is what I would always say. Once you earn, you are going to be earning 10 times better than that. I was doing very good in dentistry, but somehow I just felt that, I don't want to be constricted to a single dental practice. I want to, expand and create an impact in our country. The only way to do that, apart from doing a business, was to do MBA in healthcare consulting. And US, for that matter, seem to have a very good colleges in healthcare domain. I wanted to do MBA in healthcare, and I told my counselor that this is what is the criteria, and she was, he and he were very helpful enough to shortlist me those kind of colleges. And Sunny Buffalo, where I basically got an admit, also have a healthcare concentration. My profile was such that I was an entrepreneur. Basically, I used to manage my own clinic, so I used to do the finances, taxation part. That is why you don't, require to give a GMAT. It's all about helping each other, so I can give my time because anyways I want to network. So in this, it's a win-win for both the people. Anything which helps me to contribute, then I am more than happy. So
Okay, guys, so I have Nirali with me. She is a doctor, she is a dentist herself, and she has been practicing dentistry for the past 7 years, 6 to 7 years. She has her own clinic, and right now she is flying off to sunny Buffalo in USA for her MBA degree. Yes, so it's a little different for a doctor to go for an MBA, but it is possible. So we'll definitely dive into the story here. So, Nirali, can you tell us a little bit about your background? What exactly have you done in a bachelor's, and how did the last 7 years go?
So, hi Nikhil. Yeah, definitely. I will give you a brief idea about me and my background. So, basically, I'm a dentist back in Mumbai, and I have my own clinic since last more than 4.5 years. So, my plan was when I started dentistry was to pursue and go and expand my business. Meanwhile, when I was doing this business, I was doing very good in dentistry, but somehow I just felt that, I don't want to be constricted to a single dental practice. I want to, expand and, create an impact in our country. So the only way to do that, apart from doing a business, was to do MBA in healthcare consulting,
Right.
and maybe, yeah, and then the plan was to, get laterally hired by the healthcare ministry or expand business back in India. So
Okay.
for that, having a formal education through MBA was the right thing to do according to me. So yeah, that's how I started.
Perfect. So you're from Mumbai itself, right? Okay. Take it. So that's fine. But now, when it comes to MBA, why an international MBA? Like you could do an MBA in healthcare in India also. Why did you think like going abroad, specifically US, will be really beneficial for you?
So that's a very good question. Actually, I have tried back in India when I was in India. I've applied for IIHMR and tests, and I've also gotten symbiosis and tests. But then again, when if you have to see ROI and the diversity, and if you want to see how in a better way, because see, the problem with me doing in India was that I know the healthcare system. I want to actually compare the two things and what good I can get from USA and put in India. If I'm
Right.
learning from India, the thing was that I know the healthcare problems in India and I can find ways, no doubt about it. But how can I improve it in a better way? So that I was like, it's better to have a first class healthcare experience from US, get learn from there, and then somehow obviously not every country has the same healthcare problems and ways to around. But how I can better that way? How can I make it more seamless process? That was the idea to do in US, and US in for that matter seem to have a very good colleges in healthcare domain, and that's how I selected US and the colleges in US.
Right. I think it makes sense here. So you wanted to take the experience from outside, and in case if you return to India, then you would be able to judge what is the bridge that you can
Rich.
bring.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. Perfect.
exactly.
Perfect. Right. And now moving forward, like when you actually established that you wanted to do an MBA, what were the challenges, first challenges that came to your mind, or when you started research, what was very difficult to find, or what did you think, okay, this is a major roadblock for me?
The thing was, I was a working professional, so I had my full time clinic. To maintain along with that and apply for the process was very difficult for me, and that is when I started my researching about consultancies who can do good work for me. I mean, while I was working, no
Hmm.
offense, but so that's how
Yeah.
I came across Ace My Prep and. So my plan was to, I focus on making money back in India until I, go to US. so I can finance my US education, and someone who is very good at the job will do that work from me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how I came across, and which is I think was the right decision because I got an admit, I got a scholarship, so here I go.
Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. So basically, it was difficult for you to manage a job and focus completely on this application process. Rather than that, you took professional help in that. Like that was the whole scenario. Okay. Okay. And when you were shortlisting universities, right? Let's jump into that. You couldn't apply to all universities because not all MBAs will be that open to doctor professionals or medical health professionals. Rather, they would suggest you to go for an MPH, Masters in Public Health or Health Informatics. So, what kind of shortlist, like you and your counselor, like how did you guys decide? Okay, these are the universities, these are the MBAs where I will have a definite chance.
Right. So I was very sure. Like I have people, I have my friends who go to US, being a dentist or being a doctor, and then they pursue MPH, which is Masters in Public Health or Masters in Healthcare Administration. So I was very sure that I don't want to, go into biostatistics and epidemiology because that is not what I want to do. Considering the goals I have told you, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to MBA in healthcare, and I told my counselor that this is what is the criteria, and she was, she and he were very helpful enough to shortlist me those kind of colleges. And
Mm-hmm.
Sunny Buffalo, where I basically got an admit, also have a healthcare concentration.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, so basically the healthcare concentration, MBA in healthcare, why I chose this MBA in healthcare and not MPH and MHA was because I anyways come from a healthcare background. So if I go for MPH, it is obviously a niche. But when you do MBA, then you not only work in a healthcare, but you open other horizons also for you. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
want to in future go for UNICEF or UN, then I have that door open.
True. Right.
So obviously you can also have for MPH, but then it's just that what I want to do, I don't want to be a biostatistician or go on to the research part. I want to do more on the impact part. So MBA in
Right.
healthcare was the right thing, and I was lucky enough to get those kind of colleges with my counselor, and also that US does have those colleges, so take full benefit of it if you are actually planning for that to all the students.
Got it.
Because we do
Okay.
have a list. If you talk it out with the counselor, we do have a list for sure.
Right, right, exactly. So you did look at the universities, and then you eventually, after looking at the curriculum and the job prospects, you came to the conclusion of these, right? But I think whenever you discuss the universities, right, you must have faced one another barrier of GMAT GRE. Like many universities did want GMAT GRE, right? So what was your take on that? Like you couldn't take out time. I guess I figured out that because you're running your own clinic, you had tons on your plate, so you couldn't give a GMAT GRE. So how did you cross that hurdle?
So actually, I decided very late to go to US, and since I am from a medical background, and if doctors are actually planning to do, so you
Hmm.
have obviously two ways to go. It's one is by giving GMAT, which is the ideal way, and
Hmm.
luckily I did. Unluckily or unluckily, if you can say that I didn't get the time because it was all a fast process, so I
Hmm.
couldn't prepare very well for the GMAT. And so, luckily in that case, I had a GMAT waiver. For GMAT waiver, you need to have certain years of experience, GPA above 3, and that depends from college to college. Like Rochester had above 3.2, Sunny Buffalo had above 3. So
Hmm.
that is a criteria if you want to qualify for a GMAT waiver. Plus, they see a holistic profile. I was an entrepreneur, a dentist, and I had a very good profile. Plus, I had a good GPA. So when I we had to prepare one essay for GMAT waiver, which got approved, and that is
Hmm.
how I could crack good colleges with scholarship without having a
Got it.
GMAT, which is contrary to the normal belief that if you want a scholarship, you need to have a GMAT. But if your profile is good and if you have dearth of time, then this is also one of the way where you can work it out with the council.
Right. I think you brought up a very good point because that is the, I would say, common knowledge of students or applicants where they say, if I want a scholarship, I'll give a GMAT and then I'll report to you. Whereas most of our students, to be honest, 60% of our students get a scholarship without GMAT GRE because GMAT GRE is a evaluation tool to judge your analytical skills. Right. It is not a, I would say, short way to get a scholarship. It is one way, but there are other ways. There are other ways to impress the university. So you brought up a good point that you applied for a GMAT waiver and you got these GMAT waivers, and I think you applied to 5 schools also. So and at least 5 schools gave you a GMAT waiver. What was the content of the GMAT waiver, and what do you think worked with these universities?
So basically, GMAT, when you give a GMAT exam, it tests your quantitative and verbal. My profile was such that I was an entrepreneur. Basically, I used to manage my own clinic. So I used to do the finances, taxation part, and
Hmm.
communication was also strong, considering I also used to deal with international clients. So you have to
Right.
portray or you have to write in such a way that you have a very good quant skill and verbal
Mhm.
skill, which
Hmm.
that is why you don't require to give a GMAT. That is enough for you to gauge that you have those skills, and I can crack and go for the MBA course without having given a proper GMAT exam. So I think in my case that worked for me. I had those things written in my essay that I have done. Plus I have worked with BMC, which is like basically a municipal corporation of Maharashtra,
Hmm.
where I was
Hmm.
managing during COVID a team of 10 to 12 people.
Hmm.
So
Right.
quant and verbal is important. Plus, if you can showcase that you also have managerial, work in
Hmm.
past, you have done those kind of work that, you have led a team, then that also
Hmm.
accentuates your profile for a GMAT waiver and obviously gives you a very holistic, good profile score.
Perfect. Perfect. So I think yes, encapsulating whatever they want in a GMAT score into an essay is what GMAT waiver essays will be holding like, right? Moving on, like this was a GMAT waiver essay, but now if I remove GMAT from the application materials, the only way you're going to impress the universities is with your resume, the work that you've done, and your SOP essays, right? So how important do you think the SOP essays or the application that you filled out, right, for each of these universities was, how important was that into getting you an admit?
Yeah, so I think when you're applying to one college, you are not the only student who's applying. There are like lakhs of students who are applying. So
Hmm.
for you to stand out, you really require a very good essay and you really require a good storytelling thing. Just having jargons is not going to help you.
Hmm.
You need to tell them why you qualify for it and what is special. So what is so special about you that you qualify with respect to other people when compared to other people. So you really have to work out those questions like what was the your resilience part where you actually came from ashes and you did
Hmm.
a good thing. So basically MBA tests your this resilience part or how you have good, how from start you have started something from scratch and then you built it. You have to make a story around that or you obviously would have a profile around that. So that's a, if that's the thing, then that's great. Plus, one thing which MBA colleges have done recently is having video questions. So,
Right.
video questions are one plus point. Like sometimes what happens, even if you have a very good profile, there are chances that best thing can't be, encapsulated in that essay. So, one leverage over that gives you a video question
Hmm.
where you are given certain time, 30
Hmm.
40 seconds, and a question is randomly put over you and you have to basically talk about it. So they also gauge how is your communication skill, how fast you can say and how properly you are saying. So that is also there. Plus, when you are cracking an MBA, this once this part is clear, then you also have one more important round, which is an interview round, where I am sure you have to go through all the mocks which you guys are providing. That is enough. I went through my own homework and then I did with you guys mock
Hmm.
preparations, which was enough. And because people over there are very casual, they will make you feel at home. They won't keep it very formal, more like a conversation right now we are having.
Right.
So my point is that take as much as resources which you can and put as much as content you can in your essays.
Hmm.
Practice as much as video questions and mock interviews, which I guess will be very enough for your cracking of the
Right.
MBA.
So you mentioned that you leverage the video essay. I like the way you put it because most of the students are scared of the video questions, right? Because it's like an extempore because you are timed. It's not that you will get 2 minutes to prepare. You have 30 minutes to prepare and 40 seconds to deliver, right? 30 seconds to prepare, I would say. So
Yeah.
you being a good communicationist, right? So you would not face any problems or you were quick at your feet, but still, did you feel a little bit nervous with those questions? Like, what were the questions like?
Yeah, so I think it's a very normal feeling because I remember when I was applying, the first college which asked was Simon School of Business, which is Rochester. So that was an optional, as you said in that. But
Mm,
I went ahead and I applied, and I was actually very nervous. But I just want to say that it's very normal feeling to be nervous. But
mm,
to surpass that feeling, do some mocks before. Plus,
mm,
before starting the final one interview question, they also give you 2 3 mock questions,
mm,
so that the student also gets acquainted to the whole process.
right.
And if you are asking me certain questions which they have asked, they were very generic, like when I'd applied for Texas Mecums and rice business, it was more of behavioral, which was
Mm,
like if you are working in a setup office setup,
mm,
and there's a conflict between your teammates, you as a
mm,
manager, how will help
mm,
surpassing that? Or
mm,
one question was, like, on the top of my mind, if I have to recollect, these are the questions. One question was, if one of your teammates is an introvert, how will
mm,
you make sure that he or she is participating?
right.
And 2 3 things, that how will you contribute to this university? And tell me about a time when you had gone for a solo travel, or have you done something in your own solo way? Or tell me a misconception about you which no
Okay.
one knows. So
Mm,
anything random questions. Texas Mikums has 7 set of video questions. So
mm,
I would always suggest to any students that even if you don't want, to go for Texas Mikums college, go fill that. You anyways have an application fee waiver if you attend a webinar. You
mm,
have questions, which is very compulsory for every admit. So you will
mm,
get a hang of it. So which will prepare you for other colleges.
mm,
Uh, Video questions and interview rounds, and they have
mm,
very nice set of questions,
mm,
and back to back 7 questions. So I think that's a, you can say, a mock interview for students. So I will always say that apply for it. If you have an application fee waiver, just go for it. And even if you don't have, there's this a set of questions which you can find what Texas Mecums ask. Work
right.
it out with your counselor. It will help
Mm.
you a lot.
Right. These are pearls of wisdom that only an experienced person can, share because you share that Texas Mechanisms will give you an application fee waiver and you can see it as a setup,
Yeah.
right? So that's a brilliant example, I would say.
Yeah, so this is a very important thing I would want to share is that majority, I have just applied for one college application fee. Other
Mm,
all colleges I have got a waiver,
mm,
because I had attended their webinar, which
right.
is basically give you an idea about how MBA in their university works. But
Mm,
the only glitch about that part is, a drawback about that part is that it takes place during their morning hours, which is our night hours. So you
mm,
have to, get up for at least half an hour. But I think
mm,
it's doable if you want your $100 fee way off.
exactly.
Definitely
Exactly.
do it.
So if you can lose half an hour of sleep and save $100, I think every student in India would
Yeah.
want to do it. Take it.
And I think Indians are good at it. So they will,
Yeah,
anyone. Yeah.
people all the time, students ask us for application fee waivers, right? So we are not partnered with any university, as you already know, right? So we don't get those backdoor application fee waivers. We have to do a little bit of work. So we send application fee waiver emails, or you attend these webinars, they themselves give you an application fee waiver. So these are some very small tricks that really help you save 500 $600 in this costly process anyway, right? Okay, that was brilliant. Then moving on, once you submitted your applications and you were invited for interviews, right? So you mentioned that we did interview mock. So one question here, because most of my MBA students have said this when they actually, frame their entire MBA application, their essays, their interview, they actually get to know what all they have done, because usually in India we are like, we are so caught up in, doing something good that we forget how much we have achieved. But whereas when you pen it down in an essay or you prepare for an interview, you actually get to know, okay, okay, I'm really deserving because I have done a lot of things. So did that happen with you as well?
Yeah, definitely. So there were certain questions which I guess you guys only had told me to fill it. And when I was pondering what to,
Hmm.
write about it, I had many things to write about. Strangely, everyone in their life who are applying for MBA would feel that I don't think so I have a good profile to apply to this college. But that is not the thing. If you can all, everyone has a story. That's for sure. Even
Right.
if you don't have a good years of experience, it doesn't matter. Everyone has their own kind of story. It's how you take the full advantage of it and portray in your essay is important. So anyone who thinks that they don't have good amount of work experience, or they didn't have a profile back then so that they can apply to good MBA college, please don't think like that. Go for sure, apply it. Everyone can crack the questions they are asking. You just have to be a very good storyteller, and I'm pretty much sure everyone has that backstory in their life, which
Hmm.
has make them come so far. So that's a
Right.
very
I
normal
think
thing to happen. But once you start writing, as you said, you will have things to write. Point being that.
right. Right. I think you mentioned questions. So those questions were like the biggest setback of your life, biggest comeback of your life that you had to pen it down. So I
Uh,
think that's why, yeah, that's why we included those questions, because this is where you actually reflect on your life. This has happened with me, myself, and all of my teammates also. When we actually, sat down to pen our essays for ourselves the first time, it actually showed, okay, there were very twists and turns that have led us to this MBA, right? So we're not just applying out of fluke. We are applying because we had a vision, and this is the time when we can show that. Perfect. Thank you. Talking about the interviews here, Nirali, do you want a break, by the way? Do you want to drink water? We can take
no,
a break.
okay, thank you.
So, talking about the interviews, so you said that the interview mocks really helped you, right? And you did your own research. So, we all know it's a casual interview, but what did you do to prepare, and how did our mocks also help you to prepare for this interview?
So the thing is that the I personally feel, this is my thinking, that everyone can answer a question. That's not a problem. The
Hmm.
problem lies in the confidence and
Hmm.
the nervousness part.
Okay.
So I had got a set of questions which normally MBA people ask, and then I also had done my own research and I had gone on got
Hmm.
it online from different colleges. I had a different set of questions, and I asked those colleges seniors also. Then you guys had also helped me with set of questions. So I prepared those questions, and see, they are not going to ask you rocket science. Like, it's basically just getting to know about you. So you don't have to
Hmm.
prepare like too much. But it's just that I would always suggest that we know when we are answering and preparing the answers and writing those answers, that, oh, I know I can crack this question. But when it's a two-way conversation, it's always better
Hmm.
that you have a hang off for someone, talking to you, giving you criticism, and take it in a constructive way. Not that you guys or anyone wants have a problem, but they just want the best out of you. So take it in a constructive way, because you guys also helped me a lot. Like, I had Shubh, who used to tell me, work on this. Then I had Vijay sir also, that
Hmm.
you have to answer this question this way, which I thought, before not doing that mock, that I think this is the right answer. But then once I talk to you
Hmm.
guys, I also get a better way, because obviously I know from my point of view, you know from 100
Yeah.
people's point of view.
Yeah.
So that has got people admission, right? So the thing is that to take those interviews seriously and constructively, and you
Hmm.
also guys, if you can always provide a constructive feedback, is always appreciated for the students. So yeah,
Hmm. No, we have framed it that way because when I am telling my story, I for me the positives are a different side because I know my struggles behind. But the listener might not be that intrigued, or they might not know what is the struggle of an Indian middle class person, right? So for me, being the topper of the university is a priority, but there in US it's not a priority. So such kind of small tweaks. That's why we have to come up like, yes, the struggles were real, but the struggle that the even the invigilator or the interviewer can understand. That's the only point, I guess, right? So
right.
fair enough. So if the interview process was done, and I think then you got your offer. So how was that moment when you got the Sunny offer? Because I think this is your admit, right? This is the best admit that you get.
Yeah, so actually I also got University of San Francisco, and I got a more larger scholarship. But then I went with university at Sunny Buffalo, and I'm more than happy. It's the best ROI I can think right now.
So why did
So
you you got into University of San Francisco MBA and the Sunny Buffalo MBA? And how much was the scholarship in San Francisco?
San Francisco was $12,000 per year.
House.
That was more.
Okay. So what was the decision like? What was the decision making factor between choosing Sunny and losing out to San Francisco?
So that was my personal actually decision. First, two, three things which I took was, first I asked the seniors and all,
Mm,
both the colleges. Both
mm,
are good colleges. Actually, San Francisco is normally what people will always think, to go for.
mm,
Consider it's in Bay Area, Silicon Valley, you make connections like that. So everyone has their own perspective. I also was, actually in a dual mind, but then I finally
mm,
shortlisted that. Main reason for me going to Sunny Buffalo, it's very good for healthcare, which
mm.
San Francisco, that domain was not there that great. Uh,
Okay.
Overall connections you make both in good colleges, how are your networking skills? And the third thing, which was also important for me, was the although I was getting a scholarship, which was great when compared to Sunny Buffalo, but still everything was very getting on a higher end for your San Francisco.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have reached that point in my life that I don't want to go to US with a struggle phase. I want to enjoy also my time with
Right.
MBA. So I want to work also, I want to enjoy also, and then if I have to, shell out frugally, then that was something which was going to happen with me in San Francisco. So I was like,
Mm.
I'm going to go to US only once, so it better be, in a good way, holistically. It was a good college with healthcare. I was getting a scholarship. I can actually spend money also the way I want. Not I
Right.
have to think it twice while doing the same in San Francisco, considering the location. So
Mm.
that is how I went with then Buffalo. Yeah.
Okay. It makes complete sense. So the living cost, I guess, California was very high, right? And that would meddle with your other plans. Even if you want to plan a trip, you would have to wait for a year. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Had I
Okay.
been, 22, 23 years of age, I would have definitely gone there because at that age you earn
Mm.
frugal, you spend frugally, you are
Mm.
on
Mm.
student thing. I don't want to, have, I mean, it's not that I don't want to have it, it's just that I want to have a proper balance.
Right. I can totally understand it. Both of them are very well ranked universities anyway, right? So it was just a decision of your personal preference. And I think anyone in USA will share you the same thing that it doesn't matter if you go to the 20th or the 25th ranked university. It's all about the ROI, right? So the ranking is preferable, but it is a group of rankings like top 50, top 70. That is the group of rankings you need to be. I think that's a perfect decision. Okay. Do you have any friends or family in New York or in any particular US states?
So I have my younger brother who's in US and he is in Austin. He's not in New
Oh,
York, but he's in Austin. So he works over there.
oh, okay, great. Okay, now, so next part I think was the loan part, right? So are you taking a loan or are you financing this on your own?
So mostly would be done by my own funds, but yeah, if in case if in case if I I really would want I have dirt of money in future, then I have got a loan. But right
Okay.
now I don't plan to use it.
So you have taken a loan, but you're keeping it as a backup. You will not use it
I,
until you actually need it, right? I think that's one of the smartest things to do because mostly people are afraid to take a loan and they think it will make things tougher, but it is not so. If you're not taking it out from the loan account, then it is not interest chargeable, right? There is
right,
only a
right. You
processing
have to
fee.
pay the processing fees. Exactly.
Right. So the processing fees gives you that backup for the next year, and you can go out and spend your own money. But in case, unfortunately, if there is certain issue, you have the loan amount with you. I think that's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. We actually try to sell this idea to students every
Hmm.
time. Right? You do this. There's no harm in taking a loan because anyway you're gonna earn a lot. So I'm not talking about that. But interest is not chargeable until you use it. But
Yeah.
right. So I think this comes from financial literacy, I would say, because you are running your own firm and you have studied about finance. I think this comes from financial literacy. That's brilliant. And
And
how?
if they are thinking about processing fee also, then they can always try for. See, I didn't go for Empower and Prodigy,
Mhm.
but if you go through them and if you don't get your loan disbursed, then again the rate of interest won't start. Plus, you have zero processing fee, so you get a sanction letter also from there. So
Right.
people who want to take a loan but they don't want to spend, right now on processing fees, they have these two options also available for.
Perfect. Perfect. I think these are good advices. And how about the visa? How difficult or how smooth was the visa process? Like, how did our visa counselor also help you out with it?
Prachi is the best for I think Prachi. If I have to, point out one person from Ace My Prep, she is very, she'll be more behind you than I'll be behind her. So I think Prachi is the best
Hmm.
in that case. Visa was very smooth for me. She actually cleared all my doubts and she used to take my calls till last days because in my case I have a brother in US, so I always had this, stress that they will have that 215B thing where
Mm-hmm.
you have a resident in US, so there's a chances
Right.
that you are going to immigrate. That clause they might have in my case. So
Right.
I used to ask her, be it very basic questions or the repetitive questions, but then she was really kind enough to answer all my questions. Yeah, visa was very smooth for me, and the interview was also like they asked me 4 5 questions, and I was done with my visa. And I can't stress this enough that students go through so many stress before visa, because it's like you have done the whole process and it's like the final thing. If this doesn't happen, then there's no point, I won't say, but then student will always feel a failure thing, that I did so many things and finally I didn't get a visa. But I would just say that to any student who's applying for a visa, because I've been through that phase, that don't stress a lot. You can't
Mm-hmm.
do anything. It's in their hands. What you can do is just keep your documentation and your visa interview as succinctly, you can say, prepared.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the best thing. So otherwise, then it's on destiny. I mean, yeah, I am very naive enough to say it's on destiny, but visa sometimes go on destiny, and visa officers.
It's true. It's true. After having a bad day, no one can save you, right? All you can
Yeah.
do is have everything sorted, have everything as smooth as possible. I think that's what we also do. It's not a visa. I would not say it's like a miracle job, but because of how much is running on this only visa approval, it becomes a very high pressure job. So I think that's a. I would also say like Prachi is one of the best of the visa officers, right? So she that's why has a very good track record of 95% because she always does she knows it's only about making it easy for the student and the visa officer, right? Because if the visa officer has to stop during your documentation and then ask you something, almost 90% of the times people don't get the visa, right? So if everything is smooth and lined up, they also feel okay, okay, this person has done their research, they are eligible enough to go.
Hmm.
I think that's fair enough. Take it. So now, like looking back at the entire overall process, I think it was a 7 or 8 month journey for you, right, with us,
Yeah, 7 to 8 months approximately. True.
right? So how was it like in total, like the day you started? Because I remember, I guess I was the person that took your first call, and I think you were a little nervous to start off because we do charge you, right? So it takes a little bit of trust to begin with. So how do you rate the journey, the entire 8 month journey?
Yeah, I mean, it was, it had its own ups and downs. I'm not going to lie, but overall, I'm glad that I signed up you guys, because I am pretty much sure with my own thing I wouldn't be able to multitask my work and this thing. Uh, you had actually instilled, you and Ashmita had instilled confidence of me, because I had talked to many consultancies. Before then, I had people who were, giving me free. They were not charging me anything, but I knew that it was a tie-up thing, and I was okay, to go with paid, but the services should be good. I had my initially ups and downs, but overall, I would say that you guys, you were the initial trust people on which I could trust. And secondly, giving a very good colleges was Anukriti. She had given me a very good colleges list. And Shubh for because I'm pretty much sure I ate his head also too much.
Right.
So he was also patient enough, to help me with my doubts and help me with the process. And for the interview, I would always say Vijay sir and Shubh sir and Prachi, of course. So overall, it was a very good experience. Definitely, it had its own ups, but I'm glad that I got a scholarship. I got an admit, and overall, it was seamless. Now that if I see I'm leaving in two
Yeah.
three days US, it was worth the money I've put. Minus, yeah. So I would always say that as long as people are doing good service, go for it. So yeah.
I would definitely say like until the visa is done, the student always is like, okay, I'm happy with the service, but there is still a job to do. And only after the visa and actually when they reach the US, they are like, okay, like 8 months down the lane, it actually worked out for me completely, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad.
So I'm actually glad that I worked with you guys, because GMAT waiver was an important thing, because I didn't know what this part called GMAT waiver. I got to know
Okay.
through you guys.
Okay.
So I think that helped me a lot. Otherwise, I would had to give 1 year opportunity cost by applying for
No.
next year. Yeah.
That's for sure. Because specifically after COVID, we actually saw that, for example, one of the famous examples that I use is Berkeley, right? Berkeley straight away came and said that we will not take a GRE. And even if you have a GRE, we will not consider it. Right. So that's a big statement for a university like Berkeley to make for some of its courses, right? So basically means that they can evaluate you without a GRE also. And if they can do so, then many people in India actually are eligible for very good MBAs. And that's why we have a very good track record for MBA students, because they have just not got into good universities, they've got in with scholarships. Because in a third world country like India, opening up your own clinic, running it profitably for 4 5 years, and then planning for an MBA, they are awestruck with this kind of thinking. So we just took advantage of your profile. It's just that we are in that position where we have seen these things work, and we have more confidence rather than
Hmm.
people in India itself. So it's very simple. Okay, okay, Nirali. Anything that you want to add on to this entire service, like anything that's look out for or be specifically aware of when they are applying and they're putting so much money into an MBA or in any international course?
Yeah, so I would always say that what as students we would always do is we will always see the cost factor. Only thing is that don't see it, because I used to also see that 1.52 lakhs I have put overall for the this thing. But then when you are in over there, that 2 lakhs which you have put, you wouldn't even think twice, because you're going to once you earn, you are going to be earning 10 times better than that. So never concentrate on expenses while you are going for US. That is what I would always say. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I had gone for a best evaluation. I am a dentist, and normally, if doctors are applying through you guys, there is this thing that our mark sheets don't have a GPA score. And
Right.
if you have scored 60 plus for a
Mm-hmm.
doctor, it's very good, but
Mm-hmm.
it's very difficult because no one can crack above 17 medical courses. Only
Mm-hmm.
10% of people, right?
Right.
So if you, it's a very good score, but when you convert into GPA, it's
Mm.
you don't get a good score. For that, you need
Right.
to do a West evaluation. When
Right.
you see the West evaluation cost, it is approximately 28 to 29,000 rupees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So any student who is starting the process, and if you tell someone, a counselor says it's better you go for a West, that
Mm-hmm.
person will be like, this much money, I don't want to go. But I would say that go for it. If you think your GPA is going to increase, go for it, because my GPA was actually very shooted up.
Mm-hmm.
After it went more than 3.4, it went for 3.44, and that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the reason I got a GMAT paper. That is
Right.
also one of the criteria for which I also got a scholarship. When you don't have a GMAT exam, they will also see your GPA. So if you are saying 28,000, I would have never got a 4 lakh scholarship per year.
Right.
That's what I have got. So approximately I have got 10 lakhs.
Mm.
So the
Right.
ROI is totally worth it. So I would always say, don't focus on money.
Mm.
You are going to earn it.
Mm.
Go for it. Even if a student who is struggling and who doesn't have a financial background, there are many education loans, and many institutions in our country are blessed to be in India, where there are people who give scholarships. And if you want a list of for these people, I'm more than happy to share with you guys. I have done a research on it. So please help people who are in need. I am more than happy to share with it.
Right. I think
They
you.
can
I think
get
I.
and it's an interest-free scholarship. You have to pay them back, but it is an interest-free scholarship. So it is always better
Mm.
than going for a loan. You take a loan on
Right.
side, but this is your emergency fund if you don't have on-campus job. This is your
Mm.
interest-free fund which you have to pay. So that's a very good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I just had a flashback with regarding our first conversation also. I think it was around West itself, because I remember
Yeah.
telling you, right? I remember we were having a conversation, and I think it's a brilliant point that you brought up, because with every student from the medical health background, we face the same problem. Universities don't give more than 70. It's not, just not possible for anyone to score beyond 70. And if you actually compare the 3 GPA mark from the US scale to India, it's 7.5, at least 75 in India, right? 70 or 75 in India. So that is impossible for most of the doctorates to meet. But WES is a very easy tool. Yes, as you brilliantly mentioned, 30,000 is nothing in front of the admit that you got or the entire scholarship that you got, right? So 30,000 can actually bring so much of difference, right? So I think that was a brilliant point, and these are pearls of wisdom. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nirali. Right. Any last words about how the AMP process was, or something that you want to mention?
Yeah, it was great, and I would actually personally would like to thank you, Pragya, Shubh, Anukriti, Nikhil, and you, Nikhil, Ashmita, and Prachi, Vijay sir. So for all this, so it was a proper, combined effort, and any student who gets an admits a win-win for both of us. So thank you so much. Keep doing the work. And if you need the list of the scholarships, please let me know. I'll forward.
Sure, I think yes, our students will be more than happy to see that. And one final thing,
Send
Nirali,
the student who actually need it. I would be more than help. I will be happy that I could contribute in my small way.
no, no, definitely. And we actually have planning something, right? Because we are going to New York. Right? There are many students who are going to New York, the state and the city both, and Boston also. And there are many students who are going to Sunny Buffalo or New York University, for example. So what we are planning to do is create your own communities, right? Where all the students have gone through AMP or even any mutual also is welcome. Because what we are seeing is that networking is the key. We are spending so much on MBA, etc. But the degree, yes, a degree is very valuable. But at the end, how will you get a job in US? It's just through networking, right? We have already put it in motion. I think you will receive our official invite also to be a part of this community, right? And the goal is to just stick around each other. I'm not saying that we have to meet every month or so, no. But even once in a year, if you meet and that group is active, if that community is active, no, I don't think so. I have to explain to students that you do never know what can work, right? Even if you're in search of a job and the network can get you, nothing like it.
I think that's a very good thing, and I wonder why other consultancies never thought about this. I think it's very nice, because over there, this is what you got, like networking thing you have to do, and if you have your own students going there, and that Indianness is always there. When someone in India will tell you that "Arey, you have someone over here, that is always going to help, and it's all about helping each other. So if you are
Right.
creating a community, I think it's very good. That's a very bang on thing which you guys have done. So I'll congratulate you for you that. Do let me know. I would love to meet other people also. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I
I
think.
already have someone from Ace My Prep joining MBA at Sunny Buffalo. Ruksha
Okay.
Chaudhary, if you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Ruksha, she is also our student itself. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we have already
So I,
connected the university people because that is was a mandatory thing. But now it's time to matlab, bring a community around the area guys.
right.
Because you never know when it can come in handy. In an emergency, we have had a unfortunate incident last year where actually that's where we got the idea. There was an unfortunate incident that one of our students lost their passport, right? In a some unfortunate event, she lost her passport, and that caused a lot of chaos, right? Because you lose your passport, you lose your visa, and suddenly you're amidst nowhere. And that got us thinking, right? How can we help our students? Because we are physically not there, but we have sent students, and these students, all of you guys, to be very honest, are very important for us because we don't serve lakhs and lakhs of students. We just serve thousands, and it's easier for us, I would say, to knit this community and make this community very strong. And to be honest, if the vision works out, this will be one of the strongest communities around because it already has Harvard admits, Boston admits, New York University admits, Sunny Buffalo, San Francisco also already students here. So it'll be a very, I would say, tight community, and I hope you guys can contribute and take it forward from here.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind managing also. I
I
can.
was going to
Yeah, yeah.
looking at your interest. I
It's
was
all
going to
about
offer you
network.
that.
So I don't mind if you guys are okay with that. I don't mind doing that in US. So I can give my time because anyways I want to network. So in this,
Right.
it's a win-win for both the
Yeah.
people, and I will always be, anything which helps me to contribute. Then I am more than happy. So I don't mind doing that.
I'm definitely sure
And
this
if
will
there's
come.
any doctor from your end and that person requires my personal counseling,
Mm,
I don't mind
mm.
talking to that person and wants to know how MBA works for being a doctor. I don't mind.
We
You can
get
always
cases.
give my
We get
number.
cases
So
every
when
day.
I had this problem when I had someone from going through Ace My Prep. Obviously, because of privacy concerns, when I asked that I can talk to that person who's in this university, that time it was difficult. But now you guys are starting a group or community which is great. But I would always say if someone who's a doctor and who wants to pursue MBA and
Mm.
he or she is dubious about the fact, please be okay to send my contact number and just give me a prior notification. I don't mind helping out,
Like,
to give a confidence thing that it's okay to take a right decision. Like,
definitely. Thank you so much. And I think, yes, the way you're working, the way you are taking things, like, if you're ready to help, some or the other way, it definitely comes back because we have seen students who were the most active members of this community last year. They actually got the jobs earliest in this recession period, right? Because they were very active. So people somehow, the networking works. And a student of mine from New York got a job in Boston. another student of New York got a job in Texas, right? And they were happy to relocate. The point is to have a job in this recession period, right? So I'm pretty sure it will work out for you as well, and we'll definitely send
Thank
you
you
the
so
formal
much.
invite.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay,
And
now this was
any help
great.
if you need for managing any your community over here, please. I'm an
Yeah.
incoming MBA graduate, so I'm more than ready to.
Definitely, we'll definitely be connected over WhatsApp and calls as well, and I'll make sure to involve you in every of our discussions. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Nirali. So good talking to you. It was great to have this podcast with you, right? And you have dropped some real pearls of wisdom. I would say the way you are seeing things, like with a longer vision, I think that will work out brilliantly for you, because that is something that we struggle with students, to show them the longer vision, the bigger vision. Because yes, you are
Yeah.
investing a lot. Yes, you are doing. So you have earned this money, and it is very difficult to trust anyone. Forget us. Even sometimes people don't trust universities that they would get them jobs. But yes, if you have the longer vision, in 4 5 years you will see exactly why you moved abroad, and it will all pan out. So I think that's brilliant of you, and thank you so much for joining us now. Okay.
Thank you so much, and please give my regards to the people I have called my name out. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for all your help.
Happy
I
to help
appreciate
you out. Happy to help you out. Okay, thank you.
it.